right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. We will go ahead and get started. And so if everyone has all their props, we're going to need a blanket, 2 blocks, and if you'd like a bolster for extra comfort, feel free to grab one of those. And then we'll get started on our backs today. So if everyone could just get into a comfortable position on your back and make sure the blocks are somewhere that you can reach them when you're on your back. And if you're more comfortable laying your head on your blanket, feel free to do that. And then once you're there, maybe bringing your arms overhead and taking a nice full body stretch. And then let's bring the knees into the chest and give the body a nice little squeeze. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. Just taking any little movements here and start to check in. Notice how your body's feeling. Are there any areas of tightness? Are there any areas we might need to be a little extra aware of today or tender towards? We always want to accommodate our bodies. It's most important to listen to what your body needs today and to my guidance second. So keep that in mind throughout class today. And then keeping the knees bent, place your feet flat on the mat and start to windshield wiper the legs, bringing them both down to one side and then down to the other. Maybe closing your eyes here and just starting to go inward. How's your breathing feeling today? Is it feeling shallow, maybe only in your chest? Is it fast? Can you start to slow it down by taking longer, deeper breaths? And then bringing our knees back in just to a neutral bend. Take a moment here, just on your backs in stillness, feet planted on the mat. And check in with your inner state. Notice how fast or slow your thinking is feeling right now. Are you able to start to tune out some of that normal daily chit chat in your mind? Just start to tune into your body sensations. And start to lift your feet up from the mat and create a 90-degree angle with your knees. So your feet are hovering. Draw your belly button to the spine and feel your deep core engage. And then straighten your right leg so it's hovering. Hold this position for a moment. Breathe. And then slowly draw your right knee in and switch sides. Keep going for a few rounds at your own pace. Stay with your breath. Relaxing our nervous system sometimes means getting out some of this excess energy. So warming up with some of these challenging core strengtheners can help us do that right off the bat. Do 2 more rounds wherever you are. And then hugging both knees in again. Extend your right leg out onto the mat and start to guide the left leg over towards the right. If your knee feels like it will hover here, maybe taking a bolster and placing it underneath that knee, or you can use your hand to kind of hold on to that knee, or you can take a block and place it right underneath your shin. Your right shoulder should be as close to rooting down into the mat or at least falling towards the mat, keeping the chest nice and open. Feel into your breath here. Twist can be a really great place to notice and deepen our breath, feeling into the spine. So today we're going to be focusing on how we can regulate our nervous systems through our breath, through yoga poses, and through mindfulness. And we're starting class with a supine twist because spinal twists can give a nice little compression to our spine and release some of those spinal muscles, which can activate a nice relaxation response. You'll start to come out of your twist and hug both knees in again. And then extend your left leg out onto the mat and guide your right knee across your body over to the left, using whatever props you need on that side, or maybe holding onto the leg. How's your breathing? Please don't be afraid to breathe audibly today during class. The goal is really to focus on keeping a deep, steady breath throughout the whole practice. So do what you need to do. In Joy's classes, students are making all kinds of sounds, so don't be shy. Sometimes slowing down, putting screens away, and just feeling into our bodies sounds way too hard and can be scary to slow down sometimes and be confronted with all of the thoughts spinning through our minds and the emotions, creating all this tension in our bodies. But these times are often the most important times to really break that cycle and drop into feelings of safety in the body, stillness in the mind, and openness in our hearts for any feelings that might be stuck or just need to be felt and released. So this is our hour to do just that. And start to come out of your twist and back onto your backs. No rush here. And then we'll slowly start to make our way into a seated position, taking your time. Every transition can be a nice time to kind of notice how quickly we're wired to move to the next thing. And in the seated position, you can come into a cross-legged seat. You might take a block underneath your sit bones or even sit on a bolster if that's more comfortable. Or you might come into knees bent in front of you, maybe on a block also. And we're going to start doing some breath work, some pranayama. So we're first going to start with a 3-part breath, the Durga breath. So this breath, we're starting by breathing into the abdomen, then into our rib cage, and lastly into our chest. And then when we breathe out through our chest first, then our rib cage, then our abdomen. So it's like a wave. Maybe bring a hand to your belly or your chest so you can really feel how your body changes with each breath. Just taking a few of these breaths at your own pace. When we breathe into our abdomen, we're inducing this sense of calm And then when we breathe into our rib cage, we're encouraging the full expansion of our lungs and increasing our oxygen intake. And then that final phase, breathing into the chest, is thought to increase mental clarity. And take 2 more of these deep 3-part Durga breaths. And then we'll move into another pranayama. So feel free to look up here if my instructions are confusing, because we'll be using our hands for this one. So we'll be resting our left hand down onto our left thigh, and we'll be taking our right hand, and we'll take our first finger and our middle finger and rest it right in between our eyebrows. And then we'll be taking our thumb and closing off our right nostril with our thumb, and then our ring finger is going to be used to close off our left nostril. We'll inhale through the left nostril, close it off with that ring finger, release the right, exhale through the right, and inhale through the right, close that off with your thumb, and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, close that off, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, close it off, exhale through the left. And just keep going with that at your own pace. This breath work is called Nadi Shodhana, and it helps to balance the 2 branches of our nervous system, the sympathetic, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. And this act of alternating between the left and the right nostril encourages something called cross-lateral brain stimulation, which is thought to encourage mental clarity and really calm us down. Now, if you'd like to add on to this a little bit, you can turn this breath work into something called Anuloma Viloma, which incorporates a breath hold. So after your inhale, before you release and exhale on the other side, you close both nostrils and hold, taking a pause, holding the breath at the top, and then exhaling. So feel free to bring that in now if you'd like to try. Disclaimer for these breath holds: if you have any cardiovascular or respiratory conditions, or maybe with pregnancy, maybe skipping the breath hold for today. Wherever you are, just finishing up that last exhale. It's okay, no worries. And then we can bring our hands back down onto our knees, and we're going to start to link some movement with our breath. So let's all take a big inhale and reach our arms all the way up to the sky. Feeling a stretch in our side bodies. Exhale, arms down towards our sides. Let's keep going with that. Inhale, arms reaching up. Imagine that the energy is coming from the core of your body and extending out through your fingertips. Maybe opening up your chest a little at the top, taking a little bit of a back bend. Let's do one more round. And then we'll drop our right hand to the ground and lift our left arm up overhead, reaching over to the right side. I'm not going to be mirroring you today. And just breathe into the left side body, feeling that nice stretch. Let's switch sides. Left hand coming down to the mat, right arm coming up and overhead. Sending that breath to the right side body, helping release those muscles. Let's take one more deep inhale here. And exhale, coming out, stretch. Now we'll just start to transition to our tabletop position. So removing any props and coming to tabletop. So your hands and wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And start to grip the mat, just practicing keeping our wrists healthy and not dumping our weight into our wrists by gripping the mat here in tabletop. And we'll do this in down dog too. And then we'll start to take some cat-cow. So inhale, arch your back gently and drop your belly towards the floor, maybe looking up towards the sky if that feels good for your neck. Inhale here. Exhale, transition to cow, curving your spine, reaching it to the sky, pulling belly button to spine. And let's do a few rounds of that. Inhaling back to cow. And exhaling to cat. Keep going with this at your own pace. Really moving with your breath. Take whatever movements might feel good here with this cat-cow. Maybe coming forward and back a little bit. Moving your hips side to side. Listen to what your body needs. To start feeling into the spine, the shoulders, the hips. Take two more breaths at our own pace here. And then we'll just meet in a neutral spine, neutral tabletop position. And now we're going to move into something called bird dog. So on your inhale, you'll reach your right arm up to the right in front of you, to the wall in front of you, left leg back to the wall behind you, flexing through that foot, reaching through that hand, feeling the belly button pull in towards the spine. And then when you exhale, you'll either drop back down into tabletop or you may come into a crunch, bringing your elbow to your knee. So let's practice that with our breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, drop or crunch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, drop or crunch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, drop, crunch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, drop or crunch. Coming back into our tabletop. Taking any movements here, maybe taking a little weight off your wrists before we go into the next side. How's your breathing doing? And then we'll move into the next side. So reaching our left arm up, right leg back on our inhale. Exhale, crunch or release down to the mat. Inhale, reach. Exhale, crunch. You guys got the drill. Keep going at your own pace. Really using your breath here to help you power through this. Two more breaths here. And then we'll all meet back down in tabletop. I'm going to thread the needle. So inhale, reach your right arm up towards the sky, opening up through the chest. Exhale, bring your right arm underneath your body, straight ahead or straight to the side, resting on your right shoulder. Option to straighten that left arm in front of you if that feels good. Otherwise, just keeping it bent. Maybe bringing it up towards the sky or wrapping it behind you for a half bind. Take what you need here. And feel your breath. Maybe your abdomen presses against your thighs with the inhale. Let's take one more deep breath here. And then starting to transition out, pressing through the left hand to bring yourself up gently. And then we'll switch sides, reaching the left arm up to the sky, opening up in the twist. And exhale, thread the needle, coming onto your left shoulder. Maybe straightening your right arm, bringing it up overhead. Maybe bringing it around your body to your hip for a nice bind. And just breathe here. Notice any differences between your right and left side. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then start to transition back to your tabletop. And once you're in tabletop, we'll start to transition to our first downward dog of the day. So tucking our toes, reaching our hips back behind us, gripping into the mat, maybe pedaling out the feet a little bit here, taking any little adjustments that feel good. How's your breathing? On your next inhale, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring it through your hands and step it between your hands and drop your left knee towards the mat. And then start to rise up, coming into this low lunge. Maybe putting your hands on your hips if you'd like, or if you'd like your blocks next to you. Just feeling into the hips here. And we'll take some movement here. So inhale, reaching our arms up overhead. And then exhale, we'll cactus our arms and just bend slightly into that hip. Inhale, straighten up, arms straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Really reaching through the fingertips here, opening up the heart space. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. 2 more times here. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Last round. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. And then bringing our arms back down onto the mat. We'll start to straighten that front leg, flexing the foot, getting into the hamstrings here. Take any adjustments you need, maybe circling your foot here, flexing or pointing the toes. Feel free to use your blocks underneath your hands to bring the ground up towards you a little bit. If your hamstrings feel really tight. And then we'll bend back into the front leg. And we'll root our left hand down into the mat, tuck our left toes, reach our right arm up to the sky for a twist. Feeling back into the breath here. One more breath here. We'll release back down to the mat. Tuck our back toe. Bring our right leg back to downward facing dog. And just take a moment in down dog. Check in with your breath. Check in with your body. And then we'll repeat that sequence on the left. So inhale, reach our left leg up toward the sky. Exhale, bring it through, step it between our hands, drop your right knee down to the mat. Start to come up into our lunge. Feeling into the hips here. And then we'll inhale, reach our arms up towards the sky. Exhale, bend into that hip and cactus your arms. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bend. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Two more rounds. Inhale and exhale. Last time. Inhale and exhale. Let's bring our hands back to the mat and just start to straighten that front leg. Flexing and pointing the toes. Using our blocks to help support us here. And I'm glad you guys all thought to use your blankets under your knees. I'm sorry for not cueing that. And we'll bend back into that front leg, tuck our right toes, plant our right hand down onto the mat, and reach our left arm up to the sky. How's your breath? One more deep breath here. And exhale, drop that knee and come back into your downward facing dog. And then we'll start to hinge forward into a plank position and slowly lower our bodies down to the mat so that we're lying on our bellies. We're going to do a little cobra locust sequence. So inhale as you lift your chest off the mat, keeping your pelvis and legs on the ground. Exhale, release down to the mat. Let's do that again. Inhale, chest off the mat. Feeling the back muscles fire up. Exhale, release. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, just our chest off the mat. Exhale, release. And now we're going to try locust. So similar to what we were doing, if your neck or shoulders feel a little tweaky today, maybe just bring your arms to your sides instead of reaching above your head. If you'd like to do a full locust, bring your hands and your arms straight out in front of you. And this time when we lift off the mat, we're lifting our chest and also our legs and our hips. So let's try this together. Inhale, lift everything off the mat using our back muscles, our glutes to hold us here. Exhale, release. Do that a couple times. Inhale, everything lifts. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, everything lifts up the mat. Exhale, release. And just take a moment here. Feel your breath, feel your belly as it presses into the ground. Back bend poses like the one we just did are really good to encourage our parasympathetic nervous system. So we're going to do more back bends, but we're going to have to come and transition onto our backs. So take your time, no rush, push your body up off the ground. Maybe taking a seat first, swinging your legs around. And then slowly lowering down onto our backs, taking our time. Checking in. So we're going to do some bridges here on our backs. So making sure a block is an arm's distance. Feet should be planted about hips width apart, close to your glutes. And on an inhale, you will push into your feet, lifting your hips off the mat, engaging your core and your glutes, coming into bridge. And then let's release back down to the mat. Let's do that a couple times. Inhale, pressing into our feet, reaching our hips up towards the sky. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, press into our feet. Feel free to kind of snuggle your shoulders underneath you and maybe grasp your hands together underneath you, holding here in this bridge, feeling our breath kind of press us up and then down. And then we'll grab a block next to us and just snuggle that underneath our hips and then rest here in supported bridge. I think most of you have your blocks on the second setting. So for the next thing we're going to do, we'll stay in this exact position, but we're just going to make sure our block is on the lowest setting underneath our hips if we decide to use the block. Start doing what we're about to do and the block feels like it's uncomfortable. Feel free to just do this on your back. But from here, we're going to straighten our left leg out in front of us. If that feels good, that might be too much of a stretch for your hip. And if so, just keep that leg bent. And then we'll bring our right knee in towards our chest, hugging it in, feeling into the hip here. And then we'll extend that right leg up towards the sky, holding on to the back of that right leg. And just starting to roll through our foot, maybe flexing and pointing. How's your breathing doing? Where is your mind at? And then we'll release our hands from our legs. And on our inhale, we'll slowly start to lower our right leg down towards the mat, engaging through our core, hugging our belly button to spine. And then when it gets close to the ground, we'll hug it back in, bringing our knee back into our chest, and then extending that leg back up to the sky. Keep going with this. Inhale as you release it up to the sky. Exhale as it comes down. Inhale, bring it back in. Do this one more time on the side. And then when you're done with that last round, you can plant your right foot back on the mat, plant your left foot next to it, coming into that supported bridge again. Taking a moment here just to check in before we move to the next side. So for our left side, we can either straighten our right leg out onto the mat, feeling that stretch through our hip flexor, or if not, keep it bent. And then we'll hug our left knee in towards our chest, feeling through the hip, taking any little movements that feel good. And then we'll extend our left leg up towards the sky, holding on to the back of our left thigh. And then taking some ankle rolls, flexing, pointing the toes. Then we'll start to slowly lower that leg down, letting our hands go, gauging through the core. And then we'll bring that leg in, extend it up towards the sky. Beautiful. Keep going with that. Do this one more time wherever you are. And then we'll meet back in that supported bridge. And now we'll remove the block from underneath our hips, coming down onto our back. And then we'll hover our feet off the mat, bring our knees in. And then we'll take our right ankle and foot and hook that across our left thigh for a figure four stretch. Maybe bringing our hands behind the left thigh to pull the shape closer to our bodies. If this is too much, maybe just resting the left foot on the mat and maybe pressing into that right thigh. Nice. How's your breathing? And slowly start to come out of that stretch. And we'll just switch sides. So hooking our left foot across our right thigh, maybe bringing our hands behind our right thigh, or just letting our foot drop to the mat, letting the shape sit on the mat. Another deep breath here. And then slowly start to transition out of this shape onto your back. And now we're going to come into legs up the wall if this is something that you like. So if you do not have a wall space, feel free to come scooch on over here or use a bolster underneath your hips and then just kind of lift up your legs. But if you'd like to come into legs up the wall, I like to get into it by coming up to the wall on my side, doesn't matter which side. So coming up to your side, laying down, and then just kicking your feet up. So coming to the side and just swinging your legs up from one side. Yeah, so feel free to come get nice and cozy. It's never that graceful getting into this, so do what you need to do. Looks like almost everyone has found comfortable position. So legs up the wall is really amazing for our nervous systems and just promoting our parasympathetic response. It also allows the blood flow to come in a totally new direction than we're used to. So it helps get blood back to the heart and improve our circulation. It also helps to detox because it gets our lymphatic system working. So just start to just feel into this. Take some nice deep breaths. So as we get to the end of class today, after this legs up the wall, I will bring us through one more pranayama on our backs before we do our shavasana, our corpse pose. If you feel ready to come into savasana and just want to breathe naturally, feel free, take what you need. Just feeling into this nice restorative pose for a few minutes. All right, let's start to transition out of our legs up the wall. And then slowly just start to make your way into a comfortable final resting pose, using whatever props you need. Maybe bringing your blanket under your head, maybe rolling it up and just bringing it under your neck for a little neck support. Or you can take your rolled up blanket underneath your knees or a bolster underneath your knees. Just getting really comfortable here. So to ease us into our Shavasana, I will offer a box breathing counting sequence right now. So if you'd like to follow my guidance and do some box breathing, we'll be breathing in for 5 counts, holding our breath at the top of the inhale for 5 counts, exhaling for 5, and then holding for 5. So I'll start that now. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going with that if you like doing that. Maybe just focusing on the natural rhythm of your breath. We'll start to just really slow things down in our mind and our bodies in this last final resting pose. This is an opportunity for our minds and our bodies to really integrate the benefits of the practice you've experienced. So as you settle in here, just allow your body to release any lingering tension, surrendering fully to the support of the mat beneath you, embracing the stillness, cherishing this time for yourself, letting go of all thoughts, and just let the essence of the practice settle within you. And I'll call you back when it's time. Gently start to bring some movement into your fingers and toes, wiggling. And taking your time, maybe slowly transitioning onto one side into a fetus position. And then with ease, just pressing yourself up into a comfortable seat. Thank you so much for joining me and for taking this time to nourish your nervous system. I hope that you all can go into this weekend with a little bit of ease from our practice today. So bringing your hands to your heart center. The light in me honors and sees the light in every one of you. Thank you so much. Namaste.